Katchatheevu, a small island in the Palk Strait, has a long and contested history. For centuries it was considered part of the Ramanathapuram kingdom. This kingdom was situated in present-day Tamil Nadu. However, in the early 20th century, the British, who then ruled both India and Ceylon, conducted surveys that placed the island under Ceylon's maritime jurisdiction. This decision was disputed by India even before independence. After India and Sri Lanka gained independence, the issue of Katchatheevu's ownership remained unresolved. Adding to the complexity, the island is home to St. Anthony's Church. This church has been a site of pilgrimage for both Indian and Sri Lankan Catholics for over a century. The shared religious significance of the island further complicates the political claims over it. The island itself is uninhabitable, with no permanent settlements. However, its surrounding waters are rich in marine life. This makes it a crucial fishing ground for communities in both India and Sri Lanka. The livelihood of fishermen on both sides of the maritime boundary has been intertwined with access to these waters for generations. This makes any agreement regarding the island's status particularly sensitive for the fishing communities. Despite its small size and lack of inhabitants, Katchatheevu holds immense symbolic value for both India and Sri Lanka. The island's history, intertwined with religion and resource rights, makes it a potent symbol of national pride and historical grievances. This makes any discussion about Katchatheevu politically charged and emotionally resonant for people on both sides of the Palk Strait. In 1974, India and Sri Lanka signed an agreement that would have lasting consequences. This agreement, often referred to as the Katchatheevu Accord, saw India ceding the island to Sri Lanka. The decision was made by Prime Minister Indira Gandhi's government, with the stated aim of fostering better relations with Sri Lanka. However, this agreement proved to be highly controversial, particularly in Tamil Nadu. The 1974 agreement, while ceding the island to Sri Lanka, did include provisions for Indian fishermen. They were allowed to fish in the waters around Katchatheevu and dry their nets on the island without requiring visas. This was intended to mitigate the impact on the livelihoods of Indian fishermen who had traditionally used these waters. However, the agreement did not clearly define fishing rights, leaving room for future disputes. 2 years later, in 1976, another agreement was signed to further clarify maritime boundaries. This agreement recognized India's sovereignty over Waj Bank, a rich fishing ground further south in the Palk Strait. In exchange, Sri Lanka was granted limited fishing rights in the Waj Bank area for a period of 3 years. These agreements, while intended to settle maritime disputes, ended up sowing the seeds for future controversy. The agreements were met with strong opposition in Tamil Nadu. Many saw it as a betrayal of Tamil interests and a concession to Sri Lanka. Political parties across the spectrum in Tamil Nadu, including the DMK and AADMK, voiced their opposition and demanded the retrieval of Katchatheevu. The issue became a rallying cry for Tamil nationalist sentiment, and successive governments in Tamil Nadu have passed resolutions in the State Assembly demanding the island's return. The 1974 and 1976 agreements, despite being intended to foster stability, became a source of lasting contention between India and Sri Lanka, and a deeply emotive issue within India, particularly in Tamil Nadu. The controversy surrounding Katchatheevu has resurfaced periodically, often becoming entangled with domestic politics, particularly in Tamil Nadu. Political parties in Tamil Nadu, recognizing the emotive power of the issue, have often raised the Katchatheevu issue during elections, accusing their opponents of inaction or complicity in the loss of the island. This has made Katchatheevu a sensitive topic in India-Sri Lanka relations, often held hostage to domestic political compulsions. In recent years, the Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP government at the centre, has also sought to leverage the issue, accusing previous governments of mishandling the situation. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and other BJP leaders have claimed that if elected, they would work towards restoring India's sovereignty over Katchatheevu. This stance, seen as an attempt to make inroads in Tamil Nadu, has further inflamed tensions. Sri Lanka, for its part, maintains that the issue is settled and that Katchatheevu is an integral part of its territory. The Sri Lankan government has consistently rejected any calls for renegotiating the 1974 agreement. They view India's periodic raising of the Katchatheevu issue as an irritant in bilateral relations and a distraction from other pressing issues. The continued controversy surrounding Katchatheevu has had a chilling effect on efforts to find a lasting solution. The issue remains a thorn in the side of India-Sri Lanka relations, fueling mistrust and hindering cooperation on other fronts. Until a mutually acceptable solution can be found, Katchatheevu will likely remain a point of contention and a reminder of the unresolved legacies of history. While the political battle over Katchatheevu rages on, it is the fishermen who bear the brunt of the dispute. Indian fishermen, particularly from Tamil Nadu, have long depended on the waters around Katchatheevu for their livelihood. However, since the island was ceded to Sri Lanka, they have faced increasing difficulties in accessing these traditional fishing grounds. The Sri Lankan Navy, tasked with protecting their maritime borders, often apprehends Indian fishermen found fishing in Sri Lankan waters. These arrests, sometimes involving the use of force, have resulted in injuries and even fatalities, further escalating tensions. The detained fishermen often face lengthy legal processes and harsh prison conditions in Sri Lanka, adding to their woes. The arrests are not only a diplomatic headache, but also a humanitarian crisis. The families of detained fishermen, often dependent on their daily catch, are left struggling to make ends meet. The wives and children of these fishermen face economic hardship and social stigma, highlighting the human cost of this enduring dispute. The issue of Katchatheevu is not just about territory or politics. It is about the lives and livelihoods of thousands of fishermen and their families. Finding a lasting solution that addresses the concerns of the fishing communities is crucial, not just for the sake of India-Sri Lanka relations, but also for the well-being of those most affected by this protracted dispute.